Let's get started. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got a beautiful topic tonight that we're going to be covering, and I have a guest that's going to come and help us break this down. Those of you that are waiting for that unicorn deal, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, that once in a lifetime whale, the rare sighting of the white rhino, whatever metaphor you want to use. I want to talk about that tonight because I'm seeing it kill real estate investors right now. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that for anybody anymore, okay? The myth of like waiting for this perfect deal that's out there. The thing is, 10 years ago, I got to help this beautiful lady with this property right here, okay? This beautiful lady, she's a friend. Her name is Andrea. She is an investor from Colorado. Some of you probably even know her. It's a picture of her and her husband, Chip, great dude, and her son. And 10 years ago, I got to help her with this property, okay? This property here, 1025 Margaret Street, like you could literally look this up. And by the way, we're going to talk about single family tonight. We're going to talk about multifamily. We just got done closing a very beautiful off-market apartment building. I just committed on a letter of intent today on another apartment building. So we're going to talk about both. So like, don't get distracted by that. But this property in specific, Andrea came to me 10 years ago and she heard about what we were doing in this little place called St. Paul, Minnesota. And she said, well, hey, can I do that too? And so I showed her what our SLP process is, the set for life process. And I walked her through and I said, hey, you can get this deal here. You can actually see. Beautiful thing about like tax records and real estate is that everything is public. And now you've got tools like Zillow that will show it all. You can see here that in 2012, she bought this for $75,000. $75,000. Okay. At that time, it rented for about $1,100 per month, $1,100 per month. Okay. Beautiful little 3-bedroom house. I know the property because I physically walked in it before she made the purchase and has nice hardwood floors, all that kind of stuff. Fast forward a little bit. Fast forward now to today. She looks like a genius. Okay. Let me know in the chat if you got an opportunity today to buy a deal for $75,000, okay? $75,000 that rented for $1,100 per month. Would you go after that deal or would you find a buyer for that deal? If you could buy a deal today for $75,000 in a good area, good part of town that rented for $1,100 per month, is that a deal that you would go after? Let me know that in the chat. I want to figure out real quick who's hanging here. I want to see if I've got the right crowd. And I'm going to adjust this content based on who's here tonight, okay? So if you had an opportunity to get a deal for $75,000 that rented for $1,100 per month in a good area, is this a deal that you would go after? Just type yes or no in the chat, okay? So for her, fast forward 10 years, she looks like a genius because this property has nearly tripled in value, 3x on it, okay? And then the rent side of it also has increased tremendously. And I'm seeing like no brainer. Ice, thank you. Sandy says, yes, absolutely. Everyone's commenting, yes, 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 all the way across the board. So this one, it's a pretty obvious equation. Like, yeah, we go after that. And the thing is, like, even the rent now, the rent is actually closer to like $2,000 per month market rate in that area. It's done very, very well over the last 10 years. And I think that arguably speaking, almost every zip code across the country, the United States and Canada, has done well in the last 10 years. And so people that bought 10 years ago look like they got this beautiful deal, this unicorn deal, this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But the thing is, when she bought this property, you might not be aware of this, but when she bought this property, it was at the low of the low for real estate. Do you remember back in 2011, 2012, 2009, it really started. People started just dogging on real estate, saying, hey, you know what? You shouldn't be buying real estate. Like, it's crashing, it's down, blah, blah, blah. There's foreclosures everywhere. And that was the mainstream media. Everyone was saying that. And I'm sure she had some people ask her, like, what are you, nuts? You're going to buy a property across the country with some random guy named Nate. And like, it's the middle of foreclosure. Like, are you crazy? but she went ahead anyways. And now fast forward 10 years, she looks like a genius. Well, I'm going to show you tonight through compelling evidence. I'm going to show you step by step with actual numbers why there are deals just like that everywhere around us right now. And I know at first when you hear that, you're going to be like, what? No, there's not, Nate. The market's crazy right now. It's hot and you can't find deals like that. But I'm going to prove that wrong through facts. I'm going to show you where you can slice through the noise and where you can find deals, okay? If you can hang with us all the way through to when I bring our special guest on, she's actually going to show you the tool that's slicing through that noise right now in bringing really good deals, the perfect deals, so to speak, okay? Now, next thing. Let's put this back up, big screen over here. Next thing, let's look at, this is a chart right here of all of the inflation rates inside the United States since 1960. And I want you to see what happens, okay? We heard in the news recently that inflation is the highest it's been in 40 years. Highest it's been in 40 years, okay? What does that actually mean for us? Well, what it typically means is that the Federal Reserve, they have to try to control it or hedge against it some way, shape, or form. And so what they typically do is they change monetary policy. You may or may not have known that for the last 12 years, since the whole real estate recession that we had last round back in 2008, 2009, 2012, what actually happened during that era is the government started doing something called quantitative easing. They were pumping money into the system. They were printing money essentially to buy big assets. And that quantitative easing, it never stopped. It literally never stopped until now. Now is the first time it's stopping. So imagine an airplane that takes off and it can fly, and never has to land for gas. That's essentially what the United States economy has been doing for the last 12 years or so, 12, 13, 14 years. Government pumping in money. And yes, I know it just added a ton of money in the last 2 years. It printed more money than it's ever printed before in US history, all at once and distributed it. That's never happened. Well, this plane has to land at some point. And so the Federal Reserve came out a couple months ago and said, you know what? We're going to do two things. We're going to tighten monetary policy up here. We're going to do two things to do that. We're going to, number one, we're going to raise interest rates, which they have been doing. That's already happening right now. Number two thing we're going to do is we're going to end the quantitative easing program. They use these sophisticated words to maybe, I don't know if they're trying to insult our intelligence or just trying to make it gloss over so that none of us actually bother to look under the blankets and see what's actually under the covers. Well, quantitative easing was their program of printing money and injecting it into the economy. That's now come to an end. It's the first time that this plane has had to land in 14 years. What will happen? We don't know yet. But if we look at history, look at this chart right here, the last time that we had crazy inflation 40 years ago, what had happened? Okay. Inflation, by the way, like right now it's crazy, 7%. That's what the government says. It's probably actually higher than that, but who knows? But what happened during the last large inflationary cycle like this is that, and let me actually put that up full screen for you. The last inflationary cycle that we had like this, what ended up happening right afterwards is interest rates rose, and they rose ridiculously high. They actually got into 19 to 21%. Can you imagine that? 19 to 21%. That's what interest rates got into. Average was between 14 and 16, depending on where we're talking about and what the credit profile of the person was. But that's what had to happen. I had lunch with one of my mentors who's been doing real estate deals for a long time. Okay, 3 weeks ago, we had lunch, we're going through stuff, and he's telling me what his forecast is for the future. This man's owned over 3,000 apartment buildings across the country. And he said, Nate, we printed all this money. The money's got to go somewhere. That's why we're seeing inflation right now. The dollar is becoming worth less. And in that time period, two things are going to happen. Number one thing, we're going to see assets. He said, my apartment buildings during inflationary cycles, they doubled in value every 10 years. Every 10 years, they doubled in value, absolutely doubled. Okay. The second thing that's going to happen is that inflation is like this pressure of inflation. It's going to cause interest rates to go up a lot. And we could even be seeing 1980 style interest rates. That's like, I was a kid during that era, so I wasn't in the game of real estate, but my parents had to buy property at that time on contract for deed. What that means is that they had to go to the seller directly to get the seller to finance it to them instead of going to a bank because the bank's interest rates were way too high. Okay, Why am I telling you all this? Here's why. When we're looking at inflation rates that are now pushing interest rates up, the average mortgage payment, I'll blow this up for us so we can see this right here. The average mortgage payment, when we take an interest rate that, let's just say, I know this for a fact because I'm in the middle of refinancing a property now, but the average interest rate just a few months ago for good credit folks was somewhere around like 3.9, let's just call it 4%. Okay. And if we take the example of Andrea's property, which is now worth 225,000 on a 30-year fixed mortgage, her payment would have been just a few months ago 1074. Now, if we go to today's rate, which is like 5.25 on an investor loan, and yes, I know you, for an owner occupant, you can get this a little bit cheaper, okay? But on an investor loan, we just increased the payment by a couple $100. Now, what if we go into, like, when I first started in real estate investing many moons ago, my interest rate on my very first duplex was 7.25%. Same purchase price, look what happens to the payment. The payment right over here, the payment is going up. We're now at 1535. What happens if interest rates go to the 1980 style? And I know I'm going to get some critics for this. People are going to hackle me and say, well, that's never going to happen. You and I both don't know what will happen. We don't know what's going to happen with uncertainty in the world. I know this is true. For the first time in 40 years, the consumer confidence is at the lowest level it's ever been, 40 years. The inflation rates are at the highest they've been in 40 years right now. We have major uncertainty. We have a conflict right now that could drag us into a potential war. And I hate to even say that. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that we can have peace and move forward with life, but we just don't know what's going to happen is my point. And so interest rates could easily bounce up like this. Even if they didn't, though, even if they stayed at like 6, 7, 8%, where the Fed has talked about hiking stuff, if they stayed at that level, when you go from 4% to 8% interest, you double the monthly payments on people. It makes the affordability go down, number one, but then number two, you as an investor, if you were sitting on the sidelines waiting for that perfect deal existed when the interest rates were lower. That perfect deal, it wasn't because it was the perfect location per se, it was because interest rates were at the acceptable level for you. Unless you're playing with all cash and you plan to leave all cash in every real estate deal you do, which would be really foolish, you wouldn't get a good return on investment. But if you did that, then you're not affected by the interest rate changes. But like most of us that are going to involve some kind of leverage, the smartest people in the real estate business use some kind of bank loans. We have to consider this. We have to look at where interest rates are at, where interest rates are going. Okay. So if interest rates do hit something like 10%, we could see, my mentor who I sat down with, he believes that we're going to go north of 10% over the next few years. He believes that we will. This inflation, it's got to go somewhere. The 1980s is the last time that we had this, and the interest rates went up to 19 to 20%, depending on credit rating. Holy cow. That's an eye opener right there. Okay. So as we're looking for that perfect deal, just know that these are everywhere. When Andrea got this one 10 years ago, she looks like a genius today. She is a genius, by the way, but she looks like a genius today on this particular property, mainly because she bought it and she held it. She bought it and she let the market do what the market does. And if we look at the market as a whole, this is the Case-Shiller Index since 1988. You can see even with the down period that we had in 2010 through 2012, the market's still up overall. And if you stretch this back for 70, 80 years, which you can do with the Case-Shiller Index, overall, real estate has gone up like most hard assets have. Okay. So even if we have some kind of correction in front of us, I don't really care personally. I'm not afraid of it. In fact, you as a real estate investor, you ought to consider this. I'm going to switch camera view and I'm going to walk you through this. Okay. As a real estate investor, I'll draw this out. As a real estate investor, a lot of people get worried like, oh, well, what happens, we've got this up, and then what happens if we have a down? What do we do? What do we do? Okay, over time, this is generally what the hard asset curve looks like. Okay, we typically go up, even with some corrections and stuff in the marketplace. I am not the kind of investor that's trying to wait or time this. This is a great time to buy. Yes. We can make a lot of money. Yes. But that's not the only time to buy. Okay. So here's the thing. When markets are down like this, or if they're up like this, I'm still buying, but I'm doing a different strategy for each time period. When the market's up like this, you'll notice that money is really, really easy to get. Okay. We do a process called SLP. I'll talk about that later. Whenever there's money that's floating around and it's very abundant, we do SLP. We do SLP. And then when the market goes through any kind of correction like this, before we get back onto the rebound, what you'll notice is that there's a whole bunch of people that want to sell for a discounted price. And so we buy, we buy. And then when the market comes back up here again, we do SLP. We take money out, we take money out. And then if the market does this again, we buy more. But I'm not going to stop buying up here. I'm not going to wait until we get to the next low, because usually what happens when people wait to buy down here is they never really get in the game. They're already way too far behind the people that figured out how to buy right here and buy right here. The people that have been buying here, and here, they're ready for this. They will clean the marketplace up. Trust me, I know this. I've had the blessing and privilege now of serving 3 different hedge funds. And literally when they came into markets, like one of them I helped get into Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we did over 200 deals in a year with just one hedge fund. They like any foreclosure that was in their range or any low priced house in their range, they just gobbled it up. I helped another hedge fund out of Edina, Minnesota, get probably 300 properties between Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then a couple other small cities. And they were just gobbling. And so the average investor that's trying to time the market and wait for this down here, they usually just get completely passed by. So I don't want you to like think that that's the thing to do, because you'll just never get in the game. Instead, you do what Andrea did. You look for properties that have solid cash flow. You can still get them every day of the week. I find properties that have solid cash flow. And if I can get solid positive cash flow in this market, which is super, super high, what's going to happen, it's a matter of fact, let me blow this back up for us. What's going to happen, I will come back to regular camera at the same time. What's going to happen when I lock into properties like this one right here. Let's see. Yeah. This property right here, I closed on this yesterday. Okay. It's a beautiful duplex. We take, I like to go after multifamily personally. Duplexes are okay. So like, we'll take this one. It's a beautiful one for around $250,000, $250,000. But I prefer, like, my love is multifamily properties. That's just my love. We have a lot of clients that like single family. So we teach them how to like go after and do all the marketing and stuff for it. So we'll talk about this kind of on a broad scale. But what happens on a property like this, we close on this thing and we get a fixed rate mortgage right up front. Okay. A fixed rate mortgage. Our mortgage payment is not going to change. It's going to be the same all the way through. I'm not taking any speculative loans that have these adjustable rates and all that kind of stuff. I'm taking a mortgage that has a fixed rate payment. So for this one, let's see here. What was our mortgage payment? Our mortgage payment for this one is $886 per month. $886 per month. Okay. For this particular one, we lock in for this today. We've got that for the next 30 years. Okay. Now, what happens with rents? Let me know in the chat. What do you think happens with rents over the next 30 years? Do rents stay the same? Do they go up? What happens? Do they go sideways? Do they disappear? Does the whole rental business stop? What do you think happens to rents over the next 30 years? This is a deep question. They go up. Yeah, absolutely. They go up. They go up. They're going up. Yep. Jim, spot on. Hey, Steven, nice to have you on, man. Steven said he wants 10 of those. Awesome. Yeah, rents are going to keep going up. It's inevitable. There have been some times, Sandy says they go up. Yeah, excellent. There have been some times in history where rents have kind of flatlined. And even in some cases, in certain zip codes and whatnot, rents have declines. but it's never like I'm studying this a lot because actually next week, what we're talking about is what happens to rents during a recession. What happens? Do they disappear? Do they go away? All that kind of stuff. We're going to uncover that on next week's broadcast. So I'm studying this quite in depth right now, but I know from experience because I lived it. I lived through the last housing recession. I had rentals, and what ended up happening to them is that the rents either stayed flat or they ended up going up in most cases. In the few cases in history that I've found, Joanne's accurate to rent increases, yes. In the few cases in history that I've found that rents didn't go up, they usually flatlined. They'd usually just stay stagnant for some period of time. In rare occasions, what I've found is that sometimes they'll dip a little bit, but they're not dipping proportionate to what housing values can and all that kind of stuff. So overall, they go up. So my fixed mortgage payment that we're talking about here, this $886, that's not going to go, that's staying the same. Meanwhile, my rents are going up every single month. So what can happen over time is now rents, instead of them being $2,100 per month, now all of a sudden rents are $3,150 per month. Look at the ROI difference, okay? Down here, you can see like based on a $2,100 rent roll and a fixed mortgage payment of $886, my cash on cash returns 9.82%. Same exact property. The only equation change is the rents. Rents have gone up to $3,150. What's my ROI now on this property? 35.18%. Okay. I'm not like showing you these numbers to say, hey, I guarantee you're going to make 35.18% or anything like that. I don't know you personally. I don't know your work ethic. I don't know what you're going to put into the business, all that kind of stuff. But what I am showing you is these are my projections. These are my numbers based on over 1,000 properties that we've taken through our system now. This is what typically happens over time. Next week, we're going to get to have some fun diving into what happens to rents during a recession as well. So we'll take a deeper dive on that next week, next round. Question just came in is how much more for management costs? Typically, management companies, they charge a percentage of rents collected, and that's accounted here in this number right here. So typically, property management companies, they'll charge anywhere from 5% up to 10%, depending on the area that you're in. So if your rents go up, then you end up paying more to the property manager as well, which is okay. I'm totally good with it. If they are doing a good job, I want them to get paid really, really well also. Okay. So that's what we can expect most of the time on the rental side. So we lock in a fixed long-term payment, and then all of a sudden we've got this rental increase that keeps happening over and over and over again. Okay. So regardless of what interest rates are doing, where we miss the unicorn deal is if we sit on the sidelines and we wait. If we're just like, oh goodness, I'm going to wait until that perfect deal comes. What's going to happen is that number one, you're losing out on the interest rate game. Interest rates will go up every single month. Maybe not every month. Maybe I should say every quarter, but they've been pretty much going up monthly right now. Lenders are competing and they're pricing in the what they expect the Fed to say each time. They're sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for the Fed to make any kind of announcements because then they can actually raise the rate again. So I would expect that rates will go up probably by 1/4 to 0.5% each month. Let's see, future will tell if I'm accurate on my assumption or not, but so far they have been, okay? So if you're waiting for the perfect deal, you're going to miss the perfect deal. Even if you see the perfect deal 6 months from now, it won't be as good as the average deal that you could have taken when the rates were down. That's first and foremost, okay? The second big thing is that if you're leaving money on the sidelines waiting to jump into the perfect deal, you already know what's happening to your money. I don't know if I should painfully share this or not, but if you go into like, let's just say a CD, the average CD right now, if your money is just sitting in some kind of CD at the bank, some kind of deposit, you're making 1.1%. If inflation is 7% or 10% or whatever it actually is, your money is losing value every single day. You've got a negative 6% delta on your money. Like you're literally losing money every single day, leaving it sit there. So again, for that reason, inflation reason, you shouldn't be waiting for the perfect deal. You should take action at some level in the market and get your money working for you. I know I was shocked, beyond shocked. We bought the property I'm standing in right now. I didn't know what the market was going to do a year and a half ago. You didn't know what the market was going to do a year and a half ago either. None of us really did. And we bought the property, and then all of a sudden values just started going up and up and up and up. And we had to put down a big chunk of capital to get into this property. And thank God we did, because now that capital has expanded in value. It's like exponentially gone up. If I would have left that money sitting in a savings account, I would have totally missed it. My money would have been just losing value the entire time. So my thesis for this is just stop waiting for the perfect deal. The perfect deal is right in front of you. They're everywhere. But what the challenge most people have is how to attract that deal to you, how to find it, how to get past all the noise that's out there and actually make it come to you. And that's why I'm bringing on a guest. I'm bringing in the owner of a software company called REI Software. She is the foremost expert in real estate investor like tools. She's developed some of the best ones that are out there on the marketplace right now. And she's helping investors like you and I cut through the noise to get these perfect deals coming to you on demand. So I'll bring her on. And Marla, let me know if you're there. I don't see your camera on, so I won't pull you until you're ready. But are you there? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey!
Hey!
Okay, so Marla, I gave just a quick introduction on you, but Marla's wonderful, number one. She's a good Christian woman. She cares about the people that she works with. So that's first and foremost why I asked her to like be part of this and be part of helping our entire community. But then secondly, she's really good. Like literally every real estate challenge that I've had, I would say it to her, sometimes just in passing. And then all of a sudden she'd come back 2 weeks later and she'd be like, Nate, I got the perfect tool for that. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know you were thinking about that. And she would get these tools banded together. And now she's got a heck of a machine. Don't you, Marla?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that's the feedback we're getting. People love it.
Cool. Well, Marla, what I would love to do is I want to show them like how basically you're taking these tools, cutting through the noise and grabbing deals. Would you mind if we kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and show people how this works?
Yeah. Do you mind if I kind of share with you, how some of our users are using our software and the successes, some of the struggles they had and how they implemented it?
Dominate. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, let me share my screen and let's do it.
You got Ice asking, how do you find and buy these deals? Well, we're going to show you that actually.
All right.
I wish I could have a cool name like Ice. How do I get that?
Can you see my screen okay?
There we go. Yep.
Awesome. All right. So, okay, I'm just going to, give you a quick little rundown. I want to start with showing you like how a couple of people who have come through and used our software, and then I'll show you a little bit about the software that they were using. But John is such an amazing guy. He is, his character is that he's compassionate. He's a pastor. He's super hardworking. I know you know John. He has when he first started, he was using multiple software. He was using spreadsheets and his cell phone for texting. His jumping around to email and really struggling with how to follow up on his leads and where all of the leads were, where was the last place he communicated with them, and managing all of that system. So John started using REI Software when he was pretty early in his journey with it being an investor. And so some of the things that he used specifically that he really got the most benefit out of in REI Software was pipeline management, the mobile app. So when he was on the fly, running around, he could still communicate and contact, his leads, manage that entire process. And then also what he loved was email, nurturing, and blast. And this is just the things that he's communicated. So that when a lead came in, if he was out and talking with a client, he was able to immediately send an email and a text message, and all of that was automated. So it really pulled back some of the intense work that he needed to do to follow up with leads. And then also he loved the phone call recording. So basically
Marla, yeah. you got some fans on. You got some Marla fans. Hey, Marla. Hey,
Oh,
girl.
Let me see. Oh, hey. I don't know. It just says Facebook user. Hi. All right. All right. So let's pop into RES software and take a look at what this pipeline that we're talking about. So one of the things that John, loved is that all of his leads, John was doing, we taught John how to do leads and manage his leads and get leads coming in. And so when his leads came in, we automated the entire process so that he could really just get those leads in. The system was going to, do the outbound email and text messaging right from the beginning. And then he could see the entire journey of all of his leads all the way through to closing. And all of these, you can just move them, move these tiles around. And then of course you can go into the actual contact, but you can see how, these just move around really easily, and you can either drag them into position, or you can actually click on the individual contact. I want to pull up this specific contact here. And then that way you can see this is a test account. So that's why you see these unsuccessfuls, but you can see all of the contacts information. You can see all of the communications that are happening. So call recording and playback. So I don't know if you're like me, 30 minutes later, I need to sometimes go back and check on, needless to, and re-listen to that. But it could be 30 days later when a lead tells you to come and give them a call back in 30 minutes or in 30 days, and you can go back and play that again. And then of course, all your emails and your text messaging, all of that is all in one location. And you can, you've got notes, appointments, and all of that. So that was what John loved, to be able to get his business to the next level. And so he was able to get rid of all of the, like phone text messaging and email in different locations. And so everything was all in one location. And that was a game changer for John.
And to give people kind of a high level on this, what Marla became like the expert at it, she got this tool, she assembled this tool, and it's like insanely good. But to bridge the gap, most people are running around right now trying to do things like cold calling, direct mail, those yellow signs, the crazy yellow signs, and they're just not working right now. Maybe they're working, but they're usually working to a minimal degree. What Marla's done is she perfected the art of getting people off of social media. So like Facebook, Instagram, platforms like that, Marla figured out how to say, hey, motivated seller, if you're thinking about selling, come see my clients. And so she brings them into our world, us as real estate investors. And when we bring leads like this into our world, we need a place to communicate with them. If we're trying to do it old school, like, just on a spreadsheet, we lose them. We don't follow up with them. We don't do what we're supposed to do. And so what Marla did is she built this tool that does most of that for us. Now, there's only one complaint I have, Marla. I wish it would just, go to the seller's house and sign the contract.
We're working on it. It's in development.
Actually, you do have a contract tool that's built in, but that's a different day.
Different day.
So those of you that are looking for like the unicorn deal, they're there. I promise you, they are everywhere right now. We submitted, because of this tool, we were able to analyze and submit 9 offers yesterday. 9 of them. I don't know if we'll get all 9, but I bet you we get at least 1. We signed another letter of intent today. Last week, we put 6 properties under contract. We put them out to some of our buyers. We're keeping some of them, and then we're wholesaling the other ones. It's legit, it's real, and it's because we have organization. It's because we have a tool like this. So that's why I really want to unveil this. And those of you that are curious, hey, well, will there be access to this? At the very end of this, we're going to train more, and I want to make sure we answer all of your questions tonight. I want to really make sure no one's stuck on the sidelines waiting for some mythical unicorn. I want to make sure that that's covered tonight. But after we're all done with that, we'll certainly drop some kind of link so that you can access Marla's tool. If you want to, you can check it out offline. Sorry, Marla, carry on.
Yeah, no problem. But anyway, I just wanted to, kind of circle back and John is a wonderful example of implementing the things, I mean, all of the people that I'm going to share with you, they did exactly what they were supposed to do, and they're having amazing successes in their real estate investment business. But let's talk about Jen and Joseph. They are so fun. They're engaging both in person and online. They are super determined and focused. When they first started, they started using REI software, and they were pre what I'm going to introduce to you. So they started with using REI software before I developed Post Cannon. And Post Cannon is a software that allows you to schedule posts in Facebook groups. So your Facebook group or in other people's Facebook group. And so they didn't know about this software initially, and they were going out and they were posting everywhere, and they were doing all of the hard work manually. They were, they were logging in and posting all over, in these different groups, and they were having to check in multiple times a day. And so I created a tool, and I reached out to them, and I told them about Post Cannon, and it has saved them so much time. And they, since they learned about Post Cannon, not only have they just saved so much time in their scheduling, they've also added 5 additional team members. So their business is booming, just booming, and they're crushing it. They're just totally crushing it. So let's look at Post Cannon. So,
and this is for everyone that's like, oh, I don't have time for. If you've ever caught yourself as a real estate investor and you're like, oh goodness, I don't have time for, and insert whatever it is. This is like the time saver. If I manually went out and did this stuff, I might spend 20 hours. If I use this tool, it might take me an hour. Sorry, Marla, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So basically, when you come in here, it takes literally 60 seconds to add in a Facebook group. And so you can just add the name of the group and the link to the group. It doesn't have to be your group. It can be anyone's group that you want to post in. And so you can then schedule using tags. So you can create color-coded tags, and notice I've got different types of posts that I would likely share. And so let's talk about how quick it is to schedule a post. And I actually have some templates that are already in here. So I'm just going to click on schedule post. And I can go ahead and, let's say I was going to post something that was related to sellers. I can go ahead and select any of the templates that I've got added in here. But let's say that I knew that I was looking for a template. Of course, you can scroll through all these templates that are preloaded in here. But let's say I knew that it was something that pertained to, it was 44 million, I think. Oh, well, there it is. I typed in 44 and there it is. I can click it. It loads it in super fast. I can schedule it using the scheduler. And so I'll go ahead and add a couple hours on there just for giggles. And you can schedule, whatever date and time you want. Load in a picture and then select the group that you want to post it to and click schedule post. And so again, this is the only way that I know of to be able to schedule in somebody else's Facebook group. And it's just so easy to do that. And so let's say you wanted to post the same post in multiple groups. Well, it's so easy to come in and just grab and copy, right? And then it loads it up. You change the time, and then you can go ahead and select the next group that you want to post in. And then it gets it down here and it's scheduled. And so it's just that simple to schedule a post. And you can, of course, you can tag it and everything else. And there's super great features where you can choose between things that have been published or scheduled and unscheduled. Lots of ways of filtering. So if I wanted to look and see how many times have I posted about the 44 million, I just filtered and I can see it. I can also check and filter by group. So let's say I wanted to just look at the group. I can do that. So lots of really cool ways of filtering and being able to see and track what you've got going on for posting in groups. And this was instrumental for Jen and Joseph because they were able to really see where they were posting online and organize it and then duplicate it across multiple people and bring in more people on their team.
So Marla, can I want to do a couple of things. I want to share, some people have asked for this. If you want like access to that, I just popped up a link for it. It's smbinvestorengine.com. Marla was gracious enough to let us come in and supply all of our copy, all of our like what our copywriters wrote, and she programmed it. She pre-programmed it into the software, and so this is the tool that you can use. But what I want to talk about just for a second is how we got. I'm going to share a screen on this. Okay, so I'm going to take away your screen for a second.
Okay.
We got this multifamily property. This is a 38-unit building in Lexington, Kentucky. Okay. A lot of people will ask, well, hey, does it work for investors? Does it work for multi? We got this property right here, and then we needed to bring in funding for this. This is a $3 million property. And any smart real estate investor that's been in the game for a while, one thing that you've learned, and maybe if you haven't done any multi-million-dollar deals, this will be a learning for you. But one thing that you learn is that it's better to take on partners and raise capital than to always burn your own cash. Because if you're always burning your own cash, eventually your cash will run out and then you won't be able to scale. You'll be stuck. You won't be able to grow. And so what we did to get the funding together for this is we had to build a beautiful landing page. We had to, and if you notice this page right here, Marla, what do you think this is built on?
What's it built on? Tell me.
It's built on your software.
Awesome.
So this is another thing. We're not even talking about that as like a benefit and whatever, but like we were able to build this. And then what we do with this is we drive investors from social media onto the page that then book a call with us. We get on the call with them. We explain what we're doing with the project. And then we got people to say, yes, I'm in. We actually, this particular property, we put it out for about a week to our investors. And we had more people come into us saying, I want in, than we had room in the project. So we were able to raise, I think it was right around $850,000. Boom, like snap of a finger, we had $850,000 because of this tool. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, Marla, I digress. I will give you back share screen so we can go look at this next part. People are always wondering, like, how do I actually grab deals right now? How do I grab investors right now? You need both. You need deals and you need investors. And then you can do infinite deals. All right, carry on, Miss Marla.
All right. So let's talk about Tammy. So Tammy, I just love Tammy. I also have the benefit of getting to know so many of the people that use the software, but Tammy is such a sweet, hardworking lady, and she is an eternal optimist. It comes across in her character. And she started using RES software and our organic bundle that has all of the organic strategy software. So the Get Group Leads that she used that was so instrumental is her Facebook group was really growing, and she was having a really hard time just managing getting the people from her Facebook group into her CRM and how to organize it and all of that kind of thing. And she started using the Get Group Leads. And basically what that does, Get Group Leads is an extension that allows you to, when you approve a member into Facebook, it will take that member's information and put it into your CRM and send them a follow-up sequence based on what type of member they are. If maybe they're a wholesaler, you would want to send them specific text and or email to welcome them to your group, to follow up with them, to get them into your world and continue nurturing them. And so that's exactly what this software does, is it connects your Facebook group into your CRM so that you can nurture your leads on and on and on. So for Tammy, that was huge because she was having to copy and paste and put into a spreadsheet and all of that, and trying to keep track of that, and then trying to figure out how to message people. And when she came into our world and she started using Get Group Leads, that was what was so huge, because she had a pretty significant number of people that she was having to admit into her group on a daily basis. And so copying and pasting information and trying to figure out how to follow up with them, that was really weighing her down. And so creating systems and creating automations to accept members was huge. And what it, just so you know, Tammy is, she, not only does she help all kinds of sellers, but she's super passionate about working with women and seniors. And she's just a phenomenal lady. So let me show you a little bit about what that looks like. So this is not glamorous. It's functional, right? And so there's this little back office, and it just sinks in brilliantly into your CRM. It doesn't take any time at all to set it up. But what it does is, when you are in this is a little demo Facebook group that I've got here, but notice like if you were to go in and add a member into a Facebook group, you ask them qualifying questions to bring them in, and you want to ask them, are you a cash buyer? Are you a wholesaler? What are you? And then based on what they say they are, and you see they gave their information, well, I can come over and I can go ahead and tag them based on what they said they are. And when I approve them, then it will go ahead and bring them into my CRM. It'll send them a text message. It'll send them an email. And all of those things happen automated, so that you don't have to follow up manually. It all happens at one time. So this was a huge, huge, huge time saver for Tammy.
Sweet.
Any questions on that?
Yeah. So Get Group Leads in action. It works like this for me. I have this little group right here, Greenville, South Carolina, off-market deals. Okay. Think of it like this. When you've got a group on social media, I should even just skip to the good stuff on this, but I want to make sure that you learn why this is so important. These groups, this group right here, it has 155 members. It's not that many. In many regards, people would say that this is tiny. Well, this group right here, what it did for me, let me see if I can share this. Oh, it'd be so cool if I can share this with you guys. I want to share my Telegram app, but it's not allowing me. Well, anyways, I have this conversation going on right now with Karma on my team. Karma she's managing acquisitions. She's in this group. Everyone that comes into the group, we treat this group like it's a backyard barbecue. Okay. People come to the gates. If you were new in a neighborhood and you wanted to get to know all your neighbors, all you got to do is put a big sign in your front yard that says free food Thursday night, free barbecue Thursday night. You'd have people coming over Thursday night. Okay. So we do something similar in social media. Marla's the whiz at this. She's got all these ads that people see like free food and then they want to come. Well, our free food for investors is, hey, come to this group. And then Marla's got all these fancy taglines for it. Well, they join the group. And while they're joining the group, you're the gatekeeper. Okay. That's what this little tool is, Get Group Leads. You get to screen people and you get to say, hey, if you happen to have any deals, let me know. Well, one of the deals that was coming through the gate happened to be this beautiful 16-unit building in Hickory, North Carolina. Wasn't in South Carolina, but it was in North Carolina. Just so happened this person joined this group. And so Karma got to talk to her right at the door, right at the gate. Hey, if you're looking to sell any deals, please think of us. Enjoy the free food and the barbecue. And so this deal comes to us, and literally Karma said to me, she said, Nate, the North Carolina portfolio, they're counting at 1.74 million. And then I replied back to her and I said, what was her original asking price? She said 1.7. I said, all other terms the same? She said, yes, sir. And then I replied back and I said, yeah, we can take this one. Go ahead. And then today she sent me the actual formal letter of intent for it, the contract, the starting point of the contract. And it all started from one little Facebook group like this. letting a human being join our virtual world, our backyard barbecue. Okay, Marla, your turn. We can keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, I might have lost you, Marla. I may have lost you. It looks like I lost you. Yep, I lost you. That's okay, though. We'll keep rocking. Okay, so while Marla gets reconfigured, you got to love the very wonderful world of live. While she gets reconfigured, I'll take you guys down a couple more steps on this. And if you've got questions, by the way, you can use the chat section. For most of the platforms, because we stream on a few different platforms, for most of the platforms, I'll be able to see it when it comes through in the chat. But if for some reason I can't, then I'll definitely be able to answer it later, because I go back and we check these things. Our team checks them. So if you got questions, you can drop them in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm going to explain the next part of this. So those of you that are wondering about like what this tool is, this is REI software. It's not my tool. It's Marla's tool. However, I was able to partner with her on this specific version of it, okay? It's called SMB Investor Engine. It's literally the engine that we use every single day to drive sellers to us in my business and drive buyers to us in my business, okay? Jim's asking, so do you set up these Facebook groups? Actually, I work with REI Software with Marla's team, and they've got an option where they can actually do it for you. So you can certainly set them up, or you can work with their team and they can set them up for you. And so what I asked Marla if she could do, if it was possible, to really just bring the best of all of this stuff together, to like make one tool that can really give people the edge, because right now it's a competitive landscape. There's so much noise out there. People are doing direct mail and cold calling, and it's just like confusing sellers to some degree. Instead, what you want to do is you want to be the person that they're attracted to. Like Marla just got done showing you Tammy there. Tammy literally got a deal from a seller because of her niche. She got the property 10 or 20 grand less than another buyer was going to buy it for. And so like when she sat down with her seller at one point, her seller had explained to her, hey, Tammy, just so you know, we could have sold this higher to somebody else. And Tammy says, well, why didn't you sell to somebody else? And then the seller explained to her and said, well, you've just been much more attentive to us. Like, we feel more comfortable with you. Now, the reason that exists, that relationship was even built between Tammy and the sellers, is because Tammy does marketing specifically to her niche. She really is the best at serving her niche. And what Marla is able to help her do is get her in front of those people like that, help her portray that. So Tammy, what she does is seniors that are transitioning, seniors that have to go on to maybe a nursing home. And then the estate holders, usually brother, sisters in the family, daughters of whoever is passing into the nursing home, usually they have to deal with the house, the estate it's called. And so Tammy got really good at that. She had a personal experience in life where someone close to her had to go to a nursing home, and then they had to deal with selling the property. And Tammy went and learned everything about it because she was the estate executor. And so now Marla is able to help her through this marketing tool right here, SMB Investor Engine, get her out in front of people, get her portrayed to people to say, hey, I'm the person that can help you. So Tammy's able to cut through all the noise, and she's able to have sellers come to her. Sellers come to her and ask her for help instead of Tammy having to chase everybody all the time. And that's really where you want to get to with this. Hi, Marla, you made it back. Sorta. You were there. I saw you. You're maybe with us in spirit. That's okay. We'll keep jamming here. Okay. So the investor engine is this. Okay. I'll tell you about it, and then Marla can come back and we're going to take questions. So if you've got questions, go ahead, load them in the chat. The investor engine is this. Okay. It is by far the best tool in the marketplace right now for real estate investors. Like, literally, if I knew of a better one, I would show it to you, but there's not a better one that's out there. Unless you're okay with like duct taping a whole bunch of tools together. If you tried to match what Marla's built all under one roof, like, you would pay much, much more. You'd probably pay around $1,000 a month. The closest one in the marketplace that I can find that has about 3/4 of the features that I like is FreedomSoft. So if you want to check out one that's like a pretty close competitor, go check out that one. It's much more expensive and it doesn't have all the functionality that REI software does. But in addition to that, because I know just having a tool by itself isn't like the magic bullet. It's like a big chunk of it and it will help you tremendously. But the magic bullet for people is not typically one thing. Usually there's some spots inside the investor's process that are a little bit broken. What do you do? Even if Marla helped you get 20 sellers coming to you tomorrow, what's your conversion rate look like? Are you really good? Or are you maybe a little bit rusty? Do you know what to say? Like most people, they don't know that they shouldn't talk about price in the first 20 minutes of the call. The seller's going to ask you, hey, how much are you going to pay me? What we've done, this is my company, Home Invest. What we did is we actually broke the call into 5 segments. We've studied hundreds and hundreds of these calls. We figured out the ones that went forward and converted, and we figured out the ones that don't go very well. We've got most of them recorded over time. And so we figured it out, and we broke this call into 5 distinct phases. You don't want to talk about how much you're going to pay in the first 20 minutes of the call at all. Usually it's actually the second or the third call with the seller. Instead, you want to take them through all 5 phases. You want to understand the first part of it is introduction. It's building rapport and setting the agenda. The second part of it is really understanding the 7 beliefs that a seller has. You have to know deeply what the situation is that's going on with that house. If you're just kind of coming in from the hip and shooting and saying, yeah, I'll offer you $150,000, odds are if somebody else comes along and really understands the seller's situation and they make the same offer, you're going to get beat out. And in this competitive marketplace, that makes a huge difference. You want to be like Tammy and get the deal for less than the other people offered, then you got to know this stuff. You got to understand the 7 beliefs that a seller has. So we go deep into that. That's called our discovery phase. And then we have what's called the pitch phase. And this is not presenting an offer yet. We actually don't present an offer until the 4th phase. The pitch phase is presenting the process. Did you know why most deals cancel after they go under contract? So if you've ever had a deal that's like you got under contract and you were excited and then it later canceled, it fell apart. Did you know that the majority of the time, the reason that it canceled is because something wasn't explained to the seller up front. The seller got surprised by something. And then later on, you surprise them and you say, oh, I got to bring another buyer through the property. And then the other buyer coming through is the thing that spooks them. And then all of a sudden the deal falls apart. That's what can happen if you don't have the calls, if you don't actually explain the whole process. So we break this up into 5 distinct phases, and that's how we treat this. I'm telling you that because inside of this Investor Engine package, we actually give you our Investor Vault, the trainings to teach you this stuff, the tools that you need, the scripts that you need, okay? In addition to that, you get our virtual production training. You want to be able to do this business virtually from across the country in whatever state you want. We actually have clients right now that are in Australia that are doing deals in the United States of America. We have clients in Canada doing deals in the United States of America. The rules of like, you have to go face-to-face and do this, they've changed, especially since the whole pandemic thing. A lot of sellers, they prefer to talk over the phone or Zoom calls to begin with. So we give that training with it. We give all of my sales systems, all of my scripts that we're using inside of Social Media Blueprint right now. We give that to you as part of this package. This package is only open to the first 30 people at this price. This is a test. You are part of the debut. You are part of the trial offer right here, right now. You're part of something that's big. Okay. So it's only open for the first 30 people at this price. Okay. You also get Marla's software, Get Group Leads. This is so that you can take people that they're entering your Facebook group and actually bring them to a place inside your CRM where you can communicate with them. You can set up automated messages to them. You can stay in touch with them. You can build a relationship with them. And that's ultimately how deals come. It's why we were able to get the contract on the $1.7 million property, the 16 units in Hickory, North Carolina, ultimately because once we brought the person in through the Facebook group, now we had a tool to communicate with them and not lose track of them. Okay. In addition to that, you get Post Cannon. Marla showed Post Cannon. Like literally, if you want to schedule out posts for the next 3 months, you schedule out posts for the next 3 months. Okay. If you're thinking to yourself, well, hey, like, what if I don't know social media? These tools make it so much easier. And the trainings that Marla and I have as part of this package will make it like dynamite. Okay. Super, super easy to get started with it. The next tool, and Marla hasn't covered this one. If her internet's strong enough, then yes. Hey, Marla.
Yep.
Okay, so we could jump into the personal Facebook Messenger. I want to give them this bullet so they have it,
Yeah.
and then I'll come back and I'll finish this up. But just in case anyone has to go before Marla gets into this last one, this package, it's a trial. Okay, we're testing this out. If this works really good, we'll probably roll it out to more people. But you're part of the ground floor offer on this, so we're discounting this massively. If anyone's ever been on the phone with my team before and like talked to our coaches, you've probably seen what our price tags are. Typically, we have one package that costs $50,000 to work with our team and to get a lot of the trainings that are part of this. We have another one that's $10,000, $9,800. And so for the discounted price that we're providing some of these tools and training for, it's unreal. Like you'll see it, you'll get in, you'll be floored. I'm 100% certain of that. So if this is something that you're thinking about, take me up on it. Okay. Take me up on it. The first 30 seats get in at this price. You got to be part of the beta. That's part of the deal. You got to tell us, you got to share feedback. You got to, once you start winning, we want you to share your testimonial. Like that's part of the whole beta process, but take me up on this at $299 per month. It's $10 a day, basically $10 a day. Marla, can you show us the personal Facebook Messenger? This is how we organize everyone that we're talking to.
You bet. And I'd love to do that. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Ice is saying, I was considering FreedomSoft. Yeah. And like, if you're looking for the closest comparison, that's the closest comparison, but there's features of that you won't find, such as this post cannon, such as group leads. So what you'd have to do with FreedomSoft is you have to take duct tape and duct tape other tools together, which anytime that you're using duct tape on technology, you can probably imagine what happens. There's a figurative meaning for duct tape. It's called Zapier, Zapier. And you have to like bridge the softwares together. You don't want to do that. You want to be a real estate investor. Go with a tool that's just going to get the job done. So that's great, Ice. Jim says, I'm in. Awesome, Jim. So you are one of the inaugural 30.
Yeah.
You'll be hanging out with Marla and I. Marla and I are actually going to have I haven't even talked about this yet, but we're going to have a few special exclusive trainings for just the inaugural 30. So welcome, man. Marla, all right, screen's yours. The floor is yours.
Awesome. So let's talk about, so when you are, and all of these techniques and skills and all that kind of stuff is in the training. So but I just think it's important to understand that when you get a new member in, there's another tool that allows you to be able to use your personal messenger to communicate with wholesalers and people in your Facebook group or other Facebook groups, and to be able to go back and forth with them, and to be able to add that as another way of engaging with people. And so let's take a look. And we talked earlier about your Facebook group, right? So let's say, for example, I was coming in and I was going to bring this person into my Facebook group. Well, the first thing that I would want to do is to send them a direct message in Facebook Messenger. And so I can do that really quick with some preloaded templates that we've got. Notice this little icon here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this person said they're a cash buyer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a cash buyer template and load that in. And so now I've got a template that I can quickly send a message, boom, and I just send a message to that person. And then I can come over here and choose that they're a cash buyer, approve them into my group, and it's going to go over into my CRM. So I just communicated with them via email, via text message, and via a direct message, all three. And literally it takes 10 seconds to do the whole thing. So it's so efficient. And that is the beauty of all of this organic technology working together. All of the templates come preloaded and ready to roll.
So you mean I don't have to scroll through 200 messages to find messages anymore?
That's exactly right. And there's so much more to the Messenger app, but I'm just going to give you one more. So notice my Messenger looks a little bit different than someone else's, right? Oops. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, and notice I've different templates, right? Or these different labels. And so I can label different, anybody that I communicate with, and then I can come up and I've got them categorized. And so if I wanted to, I can come in and message all my wholesalers really easily. I could go in to my cash buyers, message them. So it's an easy way to be able to communicate and organize my communications in Messenger, because if you have been doing any type of business on Messenger for any amount of time, when you don't have these color coded labels, it just turns into this long stream of, and so this is a great way to be able to organize and communicate with people. So not only just bringing them into your Facebook group, but also to be able to communicate with them in the future.
Yeah. So this is awesome because you can communicate with people. Like I've done so many deals just through follow-up. It's countless at this point, but if you look at the national stats on how many times you have to touch a lead or touch a contact before business is done, it's usually between 5 and 8. So all of us out there that are like, we talk to somebody once and then something doesn't happen right away. If we don't talk to them again and again and again, we're not going to do business more than likely. 5 to 8 times is the average that it takes. So we need to be able to stay in contact. So if we can do it just by Messenger, by clicking, and we organize them nicely inside of our Messenger account using this tool, it just makes our job easier and we do more deals consequently. I want to show this to a lot of people, like especially if you don't know us yet, if you're like, well, hey, how do I trust that this tool is actually going to work? Know that number one, I wouldn't like publicly endorse anyone or any tool unless I was trying it myself, using it myself. And I'm probably, Marla, am I the largest user of REI software? Or is somebody bigger? Somebody have more contacts than us?
No, I think you're probably the largest in terms of contacts, but we've got some pretty big users.
Okay. All right. I got to get busy. I got to stay in the front. But we take this very seriously. Like if we're going to make any kind of endorsement and things like that. And if you're wondering about us, like if you're like, well, hey, what about your team? What about your company? You can literally look up our reviews. We are the highest rated in our niche out of anybody else in the real estate space. There's not even a close second competitor to us. And the reason is because we care. Number one, you'll see that when you go through our reviews, read them, have fun with it, like make a date net out of it if you want to really check us out. But you'll see that we care. That's first and foremost. But then number two, what we have for tools and solutions and coaching, it actually works. There's a lot of people out there that they can teach this stuff, or maybe I should say it this way. They can do this stuff, but they can't teach the stuff. And I hope you can see there's a clear difference with Marla tonight. Like Marla and I, we have this energy back and forth. Like we're able to actually translate what we're doing, our knowledge that's in our head, into deals for our clients because we have the ability to teach it. We've been there, we've done that. We've coached hundreds and hundreds of students that have come through to help them go from, a lot of times, from zero to getting deals done really, really fast. Marla, what's your record on a student coming through and helping them see a contract? What's the shortest period of time you've ever seen?
I think the shortest period of time for someone who has no real estate investment experience, I think the shortest time was 4 days or 5, 4 or 5 days. That's not everyone's experience. I've seen some people, it takes longer, obviously, but it can go really fast. A lot of it depends on how fast people are working, obviously, yeah. how just following through and doing the things, but it's, it varies by individual.
Yep. And I'll take this opportunity to give a disclaimer. As Marla said, like, it varies for people because we don't know your work ethic. Number one, that's like most important in any kind of business building. If you're just looking to like make $1 million by pressing a couple buttons, then this isn't the right tool. It would just never work. It's like that gym equipment that they sell online that like they show the people with like the rock hard 6-pack, the abs. and people get excited and they order it for 99 bucks, but then they put it in the corner and they never use it. They're never going to get the six pack. They're never going to get the abs, because even though they have the tool, they got to put in the work. But I can tell you, like, this is the closest tool that I've found to the easy button. Like, press the easy button, make it work. It's the closest that I found out there. There's certainly tons of other tools that are out there, but you have to duct tape them all together. And then what happens is we have to become programmers. We get tech overwhelm, and then it never actually does what we want it to do. So when Marla started putting these all together under one roof so that I could just click and I could do what I'm good at, like my gift, what I really feel that God gave me an ability to do is communicate with people. Like, when you sit me down in a room with a seller, that's where I shine. That's where I feel like God's given me my gift. I can communicate with people. I'm not a programmer. I don't even want to learn that. My 8-year-old son knows more about REI software than I do. He's just better at it. Clicks around and he's like good. And that's the way it should be. I want people like Marla in my life that can actually make my life easier, so then I can go and do what I'm good at. And then I can get more contracts signed. I can get more real estate deals signed. And then consequently, we earn more income, and then we can make a bigger impact in the world. We can support more charities. We can do things with our grandkids instead of being tied up, sitting behind a computer screen, struggling. Okay, you got a question here, Miss Marla, from Joanne. She's saying, how is your database of potential buyers compiled? What do you think on that?
So I'm going to say that, in the training, it teaches us how, or it teaches the students how to go out and find your buyers and how to bring those into your CRM. We've got, follow-up sequence. If you're talking about rent to own buyers, we've got, follow-up sequences. We've got, the ability to, help you run ads to be able to get rent to own buyers, if that's the kind of buyer that you're looking for. And then all of that can come into the CRM and be automated.
Yeah. And Joanne, let us know if you got more context on that. Just go ahead and type it in the chat and we can dig into this too. In a very high level, Marla's figured out the ads. And by the way, that's part of the training. Like, it's not just like, here's the software, good luck, haha. No. It would never work like that. What Marla starts with when we go through this training is actually how to get the attention of people on social media, how to pull them into your world. That's the starting block, okay? So what she's doing for me, I can speak to my account personally. She's got ads out there that I've got some for sellers and I've got some for buyers. I work the buyer side. Kate in our office works the seller side. So on the buyer side, when we're building this database of potential buyers and investors, Marla's got ads out there that are basically saying, hey, if you're an investor thinking about doing real estate deals, you really got to join this over here. Okay, think of it like that. You ever seen those people in commercial areas that are twirling the signs that says 50% off sale, stop here? Marla's figured out how to do that on social media. So she gets these people to come and join our groups, or in some cases, it's an ad with a lead form where they literally just fill out the form. And then once they do that, then it's our job as the real estate investor to get on the phone with them, to talk to them. That's where those scripts and those, like I showed you the one for the seller side, we've got one for the buyer side too. That's where those scripts really come in handy, because now we know the conversation to have. It's not so much of, hey, please buy my property. No. Like, that doesn't work at all. Instead, it's completely reverse. So like that's why we got that training. That's part of the SMB Investor Engine as well. That's a great question. Joanne says, what is a CRM? Marla, that's your question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the easiest way to think of it is it's a way to keep all of your leads in one location. And so that's the easiest way to think of it. I showed you that with REI software. And remember, I showed you the different, let's go ahead here. So remember, I showed you all the different tiles that you can look at and move them around, and it has all of your contacts' name and phone number, and all of those different things that you're going to want to track, right? All your appointments that get integrated into your Google Calendar or your Outlook. All of the things that you do that are associated with that lead, they go into like a repository, and that's called a CRM. And so it's like a database of all of your leads, and it has all of your emails and your text messages and all of the things that are going on that allow you to communicate with those leads to be able to get them and nurture them, work those leads, and be able to close deals.
Okay. Joanne's digging deeper on this too. Okay. What does it stand for? We covered that. She's also asking about the buyers. Do we provide the buyers? So just to clarify, you don't have to provide the buyers up front. Literally, like whenever I go start in a new city, I build it pretty much from scratch using the tool. Okay. Marla's got this tool. She helps us. She shows me the framework to get the ads out. Ads are out. And now all of a sudden people are coming to my resources, into my tool, my CRM. Okay. So you don't have to have the buyers already. In fact, I would even say if you do have them right now and you're just relying on them, as the market continues to shift, which it always does, you're going to get left in the dust. Instead, what you want to have is you want to have something that's constantly bringing in new buyers. They're bringing in new investors every single day. They're bringing in new sellers every single day. When you have that equation where there's constant traffic coming to you from both sides, now you have a real business that's scalable. The problem that most real estate investors have is they never get to consistent real estate deals. They're never able to find that because they're relying on one-off, cross your fingers and hope type marketing. Instead, what you want is constant sellers coming to you and constant buyers coming to you. I sometimes will call the buyers investors, because if I want to keep the property and not just like give it away or wholesale it, then what I'll do is I'll have the investors invest their money in the property and be my partner. It's a little bit different. Okay. So yes, Joanne. So it's basically you're doing the marketing. You're just using the tool. You're using the tool so that the marketing, it works, instead of trying to figure it out by yourself. Ice is asking, so no cold calling, just Facebook marketing. Please don't cold call.
No, don't do it. Yeah. So the whole idea is that you want to have access to warm leads, right? You want to have people that are raising their hand saying that they are interested in potentially selling their house. You want to work with other people who have properties that they are interested in sharing with you, so that you can, whether it's wholesalers or, all of that. So yeah, no cold calling.
Yeah. Cold calling is the fastest way to go out of business.
Yeah.
It's because people burn out. I watched this woman. She wasn't working with us, but she had been cold calling for 11 months prior to coming to us, 11 months. And so every single day she worked hard. She was trying to prove to her husband that she didn't need to go get a job. She was going to make real estate work. And so she bought this cold calling list and she kept subscribing to it and kept paying for this new list every single month. And she cold called 100 people a day for 11 months, 100 people per day. Guess how many deals she did in that 11-month period? Zero. And then we show her social media, get her up and running. It wasn't like an instant hit right away for her. It took her a couple months, but a couple months in, she got her first contract. Okay. There's a big difference. If you're calling someone to say, hey, will you please sell your house to me, versus them coming to you saying, hey, I saw your ad. It speaks to me. I'd like to understand what you guys offer. There's a huge difference. Huge. So you want to reposition this. Get sellers coming to you, asking you for your help. Business changes night and day, overnight. Like, I shouldn't say overnight, but Marla said earlier, she had someone do it in 4 days, first contract signed, brand new investor. That's not a guarantee. That's not a promise. That's a really fast. That's abnormal for someone to do it in 4 days, but it happens. Tell you, with cold calling going for 11 months of insanity, I'm surprised that the other lady I spoke of, she didn't quit, because most people would have. They would have quit. They would have given up. Yeah. But if you flip the equation around, it gets a lot easier. Joanne says, how do I do the marketing?
Follow the program. We give you step by step exactly the keys to success. And if you just follow them, implement them, you're diligent like the people that I showed you, and just go through, it works. It just works. But you've got to be willing to act, and you have the potential to change the lives, your life and the life of your loved ones, because I've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah. I like top of the mountain kind of stuff. I watched Dan and Crystal come in. They set up all of the REI software and started running. And in 16 weeks, they did a deal a week, 16 deals. Now, that's not a promise or a guarantee to you, but like when I saw that, I'm like, wow, this couple ain't messing around. Like they're going after it. And so like, if you want to get out of this game of trying to figure out how to do everything by yourself, then get good people around you. And it doesn't have to be us. Like if Marla and I, if this isn't the right tool or solution for you, that's okay. We don't want $1 from you, not unless it's going to serve you, serve your life, and serve your family. That's how we feel. And that's probably another big reason why our reviews are the way that they are. So, but you really should surround yourself with people that you respect, that are doing better than you at the thing that you want to get good at. Find people doing better than you that are further down the path than you, and surround yourself with them. Absorb what they're doing, use the tools that they're using. Like that's the fastest way to change your current situation into the situation of those that you look up to. Okay. Ice is asking, can you send contracts to sellers or buyers with the software?
You can. Absolutely.
Boom. We didn't even cover that tonight.
Yeah. Send your offers right out. There's a calculator in there. You can calculate it, prepare it, edit it, send it out for sure.
Yeah. Ice, it's beautiful. We didn't have time to cover that tonight. We wanted to make sure that we gave really good training. We weren't just like doing software stuff all night, but happy to show you that another time. But yes, it's got a tool built in. It'll fire off the contracts. It'll let you download it and email it wherever you want, but it'll write the contract for you. You type in a few numbers. It'll help you calculate what you should be offering on it. It's a really, really sweet tool. So it's pretty cool. Joanne's asking, how long is the training? It depends. It depends on how long you want it to be. Like literally the vault, it's literally what we use to train our new team members. It's what people that are going through our signature program typically go through parts of this. So if you wanted to speed through it, you could probably speed through it in a 4 or 5 day window. If you want to take longer and just kind of do it at your own pace, you can take longer. So you go at your own pace for that training part of it. As an extra bonus, I want to make sure that this isn't just a tool that you park away. So I want to include another training that Marla and I have put together that actually shows how to implement this. So then you can take immediate action, and it's not just a tool sitting in the toolbox. Okay. That's the only way that it's going to work. Joanne's asking, what does the training include? Let me actually go back to this page right here. If you go to smbinvestorengine.com, you'll see the list that's on here, but literally like you get our fast track REI investor vaults. This is incredible. Like what people are using right now to train their team members and what I'm using to train my new team members. This is it. We plug them in, they get up to speed. Now they're actually ready to start talking to sellers or ready to start talking to investors. You get the virtual production training, how to do deals virtually. Instead of you having to try to drive to every single seller, you can do deals in whatever city you want in the United States of America. Okay. All of our scripts that we use internally here, you get them included. I've paid tens of thousands of dollars to copywriters to help me write these things. They're really, really good. It's not just my words fumbling around. It's like people that are much better than me that help me write this stuff. You get that with it. You get elite access to the software. You get our Kajabi account. That's where we house all of the trainings, sweet platform. You get the Get group leads. You get Post Cannon. You get the personal Facebook Messenger, and you get the seller and buyer rent-to-own landing pages. So it's like an actual web page. If you don't have a web page yet, this comes with it as well. And all of this is open to the first 30 people here. You guys are part of the beta of the trial. This specific package, it's capped at that. I want to hear your journey. I want to see what's going on. I want to check in. I want you, once it's working for you, to report to us. Then we can We can actually document it. If you have any stumbling blocks, tell us on that. So then we can fix it. We can help you get through it. Okay. So you're part of the beta group. First 30 people only get this package. After that, this package, depending on what we include and what we don't include, it will go up. So if you want ground level, this is it. This is it. Okay. We've got a Facebook user saying, how does this compare to PropStream? It's kind of like comparing an apple to a banana, not even an orange. It's two different tools. I'm glad you're asking. PropStream is more of a valuation tool. If you want to see the comparable sales of properties, PropStream is great. There's only a few tools like PropStream on the market that are at scale nationwide, and PropStream is great. It's fantastic. Both Marla and I have used PropStream. I would venture to guess that Marla would say good things about it, but it's completely different. It is not going to text your sellers for you. It is not going to constantly email, communicate with your buyers. It's not going to do phone calls for you. It's not going to record your calls for you. It's not going to do any of that stuff. It's not going to be a tool that you can use for advertising. None of that. So like PropStream is like, once you already have the deal and you're trying to like check values on it, PropStream is great. But if you're trying to get the seller to come to you or the buyer to come to you, you need a tool more like this one, like this Investor Engine. It's great, great question. Okay, Marla, have I missed anything? Is there anything else that you wanted to hit?
Yeah, not that I can think of. This has been great. I think we've gone over the at a high level all of the different components and like we said earlier, you know, there's several features that we didn't talk about, like the contract generator or the offer generator. So lots of other really cool features inside of the software. But I think you know, one of the main things too, that it's not just this offer is not just about the tools. It's also about the training. You know, Nate is absolutely top of the real estate investor that teaches how to do these things, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals under his belt. So, you know, he's really pulling back the curtain and sharing with you all of the techniques and the training that he has created over the years. And so it's a great opportunity to get in and on this ground level offer.
Thank you, Marla.
Yeah.
You say it so much nicer than I do. Like I want people to really understand and get the value of the actual like tools, the engine. And so I'm talking a lot about that, but I will take that compliment, Marla. Like if I would have had this tool 15 years ago, 16 years ago, it didn't exist, number one. But if I would have had it 15, 16 years ago, I would be light years ahead of where I'm at right now. Now, thanks to this tool, I'm able to run much, much faster. And so the training that we've learned along the way, like the lessons of life in this business, it's really compiled in this training. This training is going to help take you. I don't care where you're at in your journey, even if you're already a ninja at this stuff. One of our trainers, he's done 1,600 real estate deals, 1,600. Like you just can't buy experience like that for this kind of dollar amount. So it's fantastic. I learn stuff from him every single day. Every time we do a co-teaching together, like I pick up nuggets. Oh my goodness, you can do that? Yeah, you can do that. So the training's fantastic and the tool's fantastic. So for a limited time, we've got the first 30. I don't know how many of them are gone, but once they're gone, they're gone. It'll be, when we offer it for the next round of people, it'll be a different package of some kind with different pricing, but you get to get it on the ground floor. Just, we ask that the commitment on that is that you share with us feedback. Let us help you if you get stuck. If you need some support, use the support features. Like we want to know what's going on in your business so that you can actually get this tool up and running and make it work for you. Start seeing some of the results that some of our other clients have seen. Marla, thank you for doing this tonight. I know you took time out of your personal life, and I appreciate that you came on and just shared openly everything tonight.
It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
You got time for one more question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Joanne saying, are there other companies that are offering what you provide? And if so, what makes your company unique? I love these questions.
I know. These are good questions, Joanne. So I want to kind of speak to that because I I know a little bit about Nate's team and the all of the coaches in his organization, and I have to say it is one of the core principles is that Nate talks about is art of the heart, and it really it's about caring. It's about caring about your students that are in your programs and that you're teaching and training and mentoring. But it's also about teaching them how to care about the deals that that they're working with, the people, the sellers that you're talking to. You have to care about their situation. They're not just numbers; it's their life. And many times sellers are going through some things in life changes, and it's really important. And Nate talks about this and teaches that you listen to them, and that's the type of people that we want to do business with. That Nate always wants to do business with it, and the coaches in his organization feel the same way. And so I know for me, Nate, I don't want to, speak for you, but I know that that's something that's really special about Nate and working with him in his coaching programs.
Thank you, Marla. I think that nails it. That makes the unique factor. And check out the reviews too. I know you got so much time in life, all of us do, but if you do have time, just check them out. And they're all real customers. Trustpilot's one of the best platforms in the world to check reviews because they're verified customers, which unlike some other platforms. And so you get real people that are giving real feedback. And so it's pretty cool. I like it. I dig it. I always check Trustpilot before I buy from other companies. Jim says, this has been great. Thank you both. Appreciate that, Jim. Thank you, sir. Jim's asking, how much of our own money should we be budgeting to get started? So basically the $299 per month, you don't have to spend more than that at all. There's actually an entire organic strategy that Marla teaches in this that you could literally do all your deals off of. We have one team member on our team that's all she does is just organic. She doesn't do any paid ads whatsoever. And she's generating 1 to 3 deals per month right now, just organic. And I've seen people even do more than that off just organic. So you don't have to spend anything unless you want to. So the other side of the coin, and this is probably where your question's coming from, Jim, is like, well, what about paid ads? If I want to maybe run faster than the organic strategy. Well, paid ads, whenever you're doing any kind of advertising, the cost of buying the ad, it can vary. There's a couple of variables. Number one, how good are you at talking to sellers? We have a mutual client named John in Birmingham, Alabama. This guy is one of the best I've ever seen at talking to sellers. He literally gets to know the whoever the sellers are, the husband and wife. He'll know the kid's name. He'll know the dog's name. He'll know Uncle Ned's name. He is a relationship builder. That man can close deals. He is better than pretty much anyone that I know. I don't know of anyone in the industry better than him once he gets on site with people. So he might only need 2 to 4 leads to get a deal done. Whereas someone like me, I've been at it for a while, so I'm pretty good at it, but I don't go on site. I do everything by phone. I do not go and meet sellers, not very often, not unless it's a big deal. So almost everything's virtual. It's much harder to build rapport virtually than it is face-to-face. So for me, I might need 10 leads. On good days, I can probably do it in 5 or 6 leads. On bad days, it might take me 17 or 18 leads, but let's just say it's an average of 10. So my marketing cost is going to be more than double what John's marketing cost would be. And so to answer your question, Jim, it really depends on you. If you're really, really good at talking to sellers, I hate to even quote this, Marla, but the average cost per lead across the country, is it safe to say that it's less than $100 per lead?
Definitely.
Okay. So it's actually a lot less, but I don't want to misquote anybody. Okay. And who knows, maybe Facebook will double its prices overnight, but let's just pretend right now that it stays the way that it is and it's less than $100. For someone like John, who maybe it only takes him 4 leads or so to close a deal, that's like $300-400. For someone like me, maybe it takes me, it doesn't cost $100 per lead, by the way. It costs much less than that right now. But let's just say that it did. Even if it did cost that much and I spent $1,000 and then I turn around and make $14,000 on a quick wholesale deal, I will trade 1,000 for 14,000 any day of the week. You put that opportunity in front of me, I will give the 1,000 to take in 14,000 any day of the week. Okay. But more often than not, like we lean on the organic strategy mixed with paid ads. And some people that come to us, they just do the organic strategy. That's all they ever need to do. They never have to spend $1 on ads. And that's totally cool. Works just fine. So great question. Cool. So I think we've nailed all the questions that are here. Marla, anything else you want to hit tonight?
That's it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you again, Marla. Thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you for just playing full out and being engaged, asking questions. It helps us a ton so we know what to actually train on. We'll be back again next week with another training. We're actually going to be talking about what happens during a recession to rents. We're going to be digging into that because a lot of people have that fear like, oh goodness, what's about to happen if we go over the edge with property values? What happens if recession kicks in? And so we'll uncover what actually happens during that period and what you can do as a real estate investor to continue profiting. If you want this tool, it's smbinvestorengine.com. Don't camp on it. You and I both know what happens when we camp on things. What happens is then we forget about it. And then we wake up 2 months later. And then if I had a conversation with you and I said, hey, what'd you do in 2 months? Usually people are in the same exact spot. They just kind of get stuck. So I'm giving you the gentle push, the ethical push as a fellow human being to do something that I know is good for you. If you're thinking about this, like take the plunge, jump in, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you guys. God bless. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nate.